Hey everyone, it's Jensen here. We'll have some college football predictions this time, and we'll talk a little bit about some solutions to some of the problems going on with refereeing and stuff in college football. That's what I care about mainly. We'll touch on the NFL a little too because it's a little bit ridiculous there. So, like I said last time, the big news of the week, USC, is their game with Cal is postponed. I actually really appreciate them postponing it. They could have got the forfeit, I think, but play the game. Yeah, I like it. So good for USC to decide that they wanted to keep that going. Anyways, we'll get into the predictions here. Let's see. We've got on our rundown of games. There's some pretty good games. We've got Michigan at Penn State. I like Michigan. I don't believe in Penn State. There were. This goes to the college football playoff rankings and why they're dumb. Penn State's got the same record as Auburn, and who was the other one? Some other team that they beat, and yet they're not ranked, and the others are. It's all a joke, but I don't think Penn State's all that great, and I think Michigan will win. Then we've got Oklahoma at Baylor. I think Baylor is going to pull the upset here. I think Oklahoma has survived several things, and I think the Big 12 will basically bite the dust. Actually, what I think might happen is there might be enough teams losing that we might end up with a two-loss team actually getting in. Or, Cincinnati. Who knows what the playoff committee will do to prevent that from happening. But anyways, Baylor over Oklahoma. We've got Georgia at Tennessee. As much as I want the Volunteers, they're not going to do it. Georgia will win. And even though Tennessee has a new high-flying offense, they will struggle to score any points. They'll probably get one touchdown in the game. We've got Purdue at Ohio State, and why not go for more chaos? I'm picking the Boilermakers for the upset. They've done good for me sometimes and done bad for me other times. They did good for me last week when I picked them. So we'll try them out again, the Boilermakers. We've got Texas A&M at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss wins this one. Again, I've not been a firm believer of Texas A&M, although they have been playing a whole lot better than they were at the beginning of the season. The beginning of the season, they were awful. They've turned into a pretty decent team. We've got Notre Dame at Virginia. I think this is the end of the Fighting Irish's playoff hopes because Virginia's going to win and Notre Dame will fall. We've got NC State at Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is going to bounce back this week. I think they're going to win big at NC State. Although by big, I mean they're going to score a lot of points. I think it'll be a contest throughout, but they may end up winning by about 10 or so. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think. We've got Arkansas at LSU. I think LSU is going to win this. Why? I have no idea. They could have laid it all out there last week, I guess, against Alabama. They played them so close. But I think they'll beat Arkansas. And then we've got Washington State at Oregon. And I think that Washington State will not pull the upset. No, Oregon is gonna pull the win here. They're gonna keep on track. The Ducks are going to win. Oregon's got to watch out for Utah since they've got them twice. Once in the regular season and then another game in the conference championship game, assuming that they make it there, which that's what it looks like. And last of all, we've got Nevada at San Diego State. I think San Diego State will win this one. And that is the rundown of college football games. Weird not having USC play Cal. But that's how it is. So touch on a couple other things real fast. Sweden, they lost to Georgia, of all the countries today in World Cup qualifying. So it looks like Spain, since they won, Spain's going to advance to the World Cup as the number one seed. And then Sweden will have to go through the extra qualifying to get in. So hopefully they can. But it was the first game with Zlatan back, and they just looked awful. Uh, Anytime you lose to Georgia, the country, not the football team, or not the state, you're not doing too hot. Anyways, the Anaheim Ducks, I touched on this last time. Their general manager, Bob Murray, he was put on suspension. He's now resigned. Apparently, he's got alcohol problems with rage and has just been a nasty guy, apparently. So we'll see what they do. They were in rebuilding mode, and they're acting. GM now said they're going to continue on that process, although they're playing really good. They're so hopefully they rebuild means go far in the playoffs. We'll see though. Then okay, so let's go like the I'll touch on COVID one more time. We've got John Wilner, who he does give good information. He's sitting here thinking Justin Wilcox should be the Washington head coach because Jimmy Lake looks like he's going to be fired and won't ever coach for Washington again. They're not smart if they go with Wilcox, in my opinion. But the Huskies can do whatever they want. But my thing is he's been John Wilner's been just so upset with how Berkeley has been dealing with this COVID stuff, and I can't believe they're doing this. And yet he was on the top of the bandwagon saying that Washington State was just in their right to fire their head coach because he wouldn't get vaccinated, which is just absurd. All of these regulations, whether it's from Berkeley, whether it's all the way from Washington State, to everyone getting upset with Aaron Rodgers on whether he did or didn't, it doesn't matter. They really need to get down to not even testing for COVID. The cases are skyrocketing up again. More and more players are getting it. The best solution is ignorance is bliss, and all these stupid reporters that are upset about one standard and then totally on board with another. They're all ridiculous standards. It's absurd that any of this is going on, in my opinion. But whatever. What do I know? Well, I think I know more than they do. But anyways, so the NFL is a joke with their COVID stuff. Everything is just a joke. Just let the people play. And if you get really sick, then get tested, get get a hold of it, make sure you're good. But at this point, just play. Anyways, I wanted to touch on refereeing in college football, because part of the problem, we have the playoff, part of the problem with selecting teams is, well, how do you compare teams when they're not, playing similar schedules? They're not playing, there's so many different teams. It's hard to judge, is Cincinnati as good as Ohio State? An undefeated Cincinnati, are they as good as a one-loss Ohio State? How do you make that judgment? And it is hard. I will give, the committee it's a hard thing, which is why I think you should judge it completely on merit and not whether you think the team is better than the other team. But even if you're judging it on merit, as some people brought up, it's hard to tell. So one of the ways we can solve this is one, which I think it's going that way, is expanding the playoff. If you get 12 teams and you have an undefeated conference, not Power 5 team, then they can get in. And I think that's fair. I think we have to start the season with everyone having an opportunity to win the national championship. Like it could be very slim, and it might mean that you have to go undefeated. I'm okay with that. And other teams might be, able to win it with 2 losses. I'm okay with that as long as everyone has a legitimate chance to win going into the season. But one thing that they could do that would help college football completely is to get rid of the conference affiliations for the referees. There should just be one standard NCAA referee pool. And, I don't mind if there's, some referees that are mainly doing certain areas of the country, but every single referee in all of college football should be calling the same stuff. They should all be answering to the same people, not to the conferences. If all the conferences want to come together and appoint some head referee over all of referees, I'm fine with that. But it has to be one solid thing, because we look at these conferences and Pac-12 is the absolute worst when it comes to refereeing. The refs call so many stupid fouls. They don't know what's going on. They obviously don't get the training that they need. And then you have other leagues like in the SEC and whatnot, which have fairly competent refs. They let the players play. They're not throwing a flag for sneezing. So if you could combine them all together, so they are all under the same emphasis, they're all under the same rules, they're all getting the same training, then I think that would actually help, because help identify which teams are better, because if you'll have a more equal footing in the games themselves. I look at some SEC games, and like I say, I think that's the way refereeing should be done. They let the players play a lot more than they do in some of the other conferences, Pac-12 especially, which they just love the flag in the Pac-12. They throw a flag and they have no idea what they're even doing. They don't know the rules. They throw the flag and then they huddle up and they're like, what am I doing? What's going on? What is this sport? It's so pathetic. Anyways, that would help out immensely. Unified refs. Let's see, some other stuff that we need to do in college football. There's the expanded playoff. The other big thing I wanted to bring up, this comes into play with coaching changes and stuff, is you've got to move the signing day back to where it was in February, I think it was in February. This early signing day is awful. The early signing day is in December, like right after the regular season, before bowl games. And if there's a new coach coming in, they have no chance to recruit anyone. I realize that the idea is so that people can enroll early, but you could do that before as well. So this is just a joke. They need to move it back, give everyone an equal opportunity to recruit. Anyways, yeah, that's my rants here. Other than that, looking forward on the weekend of sports, we've got USA men's soccer qualifying for the World Cup again. I think they're playing Mexico on Friday, so that should be good. Hopefully they win that one. What else have we got going on? Yeah, NFL, college football, hockey. Ducks are on a 5-game win streak. They're playing the Seattle Kraken tonight. We'll see if they can keep it going. Anyways, that's all for today. Have it so good. Bye.